Hello and welcome to Hiki Makansal's Makala podcast channel. Makala, meaning branches, Kasisuthu. My name is Amanda Masondo and I'm your host. We hope this podcast finds a way to impact, educate, and inspire your next. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Buzzsprout. Basically everywhere where you find your podcast fix. Every first and last Friday of every month. My guest today is Amanda Sibiya, and she doesn't want to be called CEO.
When I pressure with CEO, I see Sibege for a future time.
100% when we're listed.
Where exactly?
Gotcha. Amanda Sibiya, she is the girl in charge, is what she likes to call herself, of two brands. At least three, two that we're going to speak about today,
yes.
But we're going to unpack all of it. Because she's done a lot of things, so we'll unpack it.
It should be easy.
There's Brand in Africa.
Yeah.
Hadithi.
Yes.
I told look at
Hey, look at God.
Africa. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. It will never not be weird to call someone else by my name.
Move on.
Yes.
But because multiplying this thing, because she did not die, she what?
Multiplying. Oh no, that's why your name is Amanda.
It's what I do. It's what I do. Let's start. Because I guess
Yes.
Talk us to the journey. Who are you? Where are you from? Where did it all start for you?
How long do we have?
We have time.
Okay, so born in Atlanta. I was born and raised in Pretoria, so Pitori. And that's where it all started, I guess.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a very small household, raised by a beautiful single mom. Not a single mom anymore, but he had elevator.
Does Yashi?
Exactly.
You can't be one person.
No. And then, wow, where do I start? It's like a lot. Born in Pretoria, raised in Pretoria, Pretoria runs in my veins. I'm a Joburg girl now, but I wasn't always that girl.
Welcome.
Okay.
It's where life begins.
No, it begins in Pretoria. And then, studied in Durban, studied multimedia, triple majored in animation, multimedia, and fine art. And it's weird because I loved animation going in, but I hated it coming out. So, but but I think what it taught me was the fundamental of animation is just like storytelling, really, being able to draw a picture out of nothing. And then came back from studying in Durban, came back to Johannesburg/Pretoria, and was hit by the unemployment rate of this country. Because
who do you think you are?
Wow.
It won't.
I graduated literally top of my class. Our Amanda, But then when I get to Joburg, job is gonna come. I'm gonna have 5 offers left, right, and center.
Easy.
50,000 was going to be my first job salary. Oh, auntie.
You'll be turning down offers.
No, actually, it was the other way around. They were turning me down.
Shock.
But I think I was just honestly applying for everything under the sun, nursing included, teaching included. I was like, I just need a job because I cannot be staying with my parents forever. But eventually got a job as a graphic design intern. I forgot the company name, but it was somewhere in Auckland Park. And then that's where my career started. But I lasted in that corporate job for a very long 3 months. And then started my first business after that. And then never looked back ever since.
Sure. Can you maybe pinpoint where you are now and whether or not anything in your childhood or growing up influenced some of the decisions that you made?
I think all the decisions I made as an adult or preteen or teen, whichever stage it was, are very black sheepy. Like the things that I did or decided to do with my career are not in line with anything my family ever did. But I think but in a good way.
Yeah.
So, but I think my mom was always a hustler. I think she was always selling something from the boot. yonke just like, oh no, I need petty. No, like my mom is very resourceful, so I think I got her entrepreneurial spirit, or I got it from there. But I can't necessarily pinpoint the time to say this is where it all changed. But I don't know, I was living la vida loca. I think I only realized I could draw in grade 10 when we had to, I don't know, we had to do something. It included drawing. I was like, this is actually pretty cute. Look at that. And then I charged people money to draw for them. I think maybe that's where it started.
I'm seeing entrepreneur.
Yeah. I think maybe I did that.
Okay, my next question was going to be that entrepreneurial bug and where exactly, when it hit you. But it sounds like mom boot.
Yeah, mom boot, listen.
Charging people for drawings.
Precisely.
Art class or just...
But also I didn't know that was called business. I just thought I was making money.
Also in my folks, in your break.
Yes.
So translating into...
Those folks in next scale, come on. Yes. No, so it was really, I didn't call it... I just saw it as that's how we live, not as now I'm a businesswoman. That was never something I thought about or thought it was that. I didn't put a word to it.
Okay, so let's go back before we start talking about the brands that you represent now. Let's go back to your first business, right? We started, what is it and what happened?
Makala, Amanda.
First it's a safe space.
Oh no. Okay. But first business was, I think, when I came out of art school, but it wasn't necessarily art school. Obviously I was great at what I did. Graduated for first and best of my class.
But do the teachers know that, or is it just
okay. No, but they know. They gave me certificates and whatever. But I knew I was good, but coming to Johannesburg, I thought it would be easy to get into certain spaces. So I realized as an artist at the time, and the business partner that I had then was also an artist as well, but obviously we were in a corporate job. We had the same problem. Our issue was, we know our art is good, but we can't get money from it. We can't get into galleries, we can't get into agencies. It was difficult to get in anywhere without the right name. So unless if you were a Da Vinci, or you had a very expensive name attached to the art, you would not literally go anywhere. So we recognized that problem and decided, you know what, we need to be or bridge the gap between business and arts. So instead of us wanting to solve the problem for ourselves, we're like, there must be other artists out there who have the same issue. So we decided, let's start a magazine that houses artists in different disciplines. This is illustrators, fine artists, graphic designers, etc., photographers. House them in one magazine, and then we will be their voice. We'll put the magazine in agencies so that when they are looking for photographers, they would come to us, and we'd have a great and large database of African artists that can be used everywhere, but they come through us. So we were technically their agent, but through this magazine. Like, this is a great idea, and it was
until concept. Yes.
We realized, it's so expensive to start a magazine. And wow, I didn't think...
Also, you guys have tapped into two different things that are also all of them difficult.
Yes.
Drawer, artist.
Yeah, wow.
And then also magazine.
Honestly, both of them were just like, what are you trying to do? But I didn't know any better. I think the one thing that saved me was delusion. I was like, come on, we can do this, So Delulu is the Selulu.
I'm hearing entrepreneurship, one thing it needs, some level of
delusion. Honestly, we did that for such a long time, but it worked out. Our delusion worked out for us. The magazine was a great concept, and it looked great when we, when we launched it. We had a new issue every quarter. Initially, it was supposed to be every month, but we didn't realize that paper was so expensive to print. We didn't have the money. We just came up. We were earning 6,000, before tax and UIF and all of that. Just so we're thinking 5 point nothing. So we didn't have much money. We only worked for 3 months. And I don't come from a trust fund family. That's unfortunate. But, it is what it is.
Mom,
come on.
But
do better next time. But so obviously it didn't come from money. We didn't have money. We just started. We're like, listen, we need to do this. But the problem is that we didn't have the money to print, and printing is expensive. So we did quotations of 50,000, getting it, hold up 50,000 as a young 20-something-year-old.
Yeah.
No, 20, I think I did. However old I was.
And you were young.
I was a young beginning. What was I doing? I could have been working somewhere, but I decided I'm not doing that. But then we decided, because one skill we had was design. We could design things for people. It's like, let's do this to get money to print that.
Funds, yeah.
And then eventually we're like, oh wait, this designing things for people is making us money. Let's not stop. So we then decided to kind of split the two companies. We then had a creative agency. We were designing things for people, beautiful things, because we were people. So we ran that agency, and then we had the magazine at the same time as well. So we funded the magazine through the agency.
Yeah.
Terrible idea, but we did it nonetheless. Because there were separate companies that were supposed to, run separately, but we were taking agency money to fund the magazine, and the magazine wasn't necessarily bringing the return of investment that was supposed to. But we learned from our mistakes. And then I think in 2015 we got invested in, was it 2015? Yeah, somewhere there. 2015 or end of 15 into 16. We got invested in, got investors who sued us later, but story for another day. Okay, maybe for this day. I had so much fun, can I tell you? Oh, wow. Suits was trending at that time. I'm gonna look like Jessica Pearson on this day. So I figured what pencil sketch, when I was good times. Don't get sued, kids. But we got invested in. It was nice money.
So, but which part of the business was invested into?
Both.
Okay.
But I think that's why we got sued. I hope that they don't watch this. But anyway.
Then we late.
Yeah, good late.
I think maybe it's a sue.
Yo, no. Please, that's not much. We're beggars in the spirit. Okay. So we got invested in. End of 15 going into 16. It looked great. I think when they invested in us, they really loved us as a duo, creative duo. That's what they called us back in the day. And they saw the magazine. They're like, this is a great concept. They're like, oh, there's an agency as well. Yes, giving you money. So I think it was just the formalities thereof in terms of paper that they overlooked. And later were like, you tricked us. I was like, no, you overlooked. We didn't trick you. So they invested into the agency, but thinking that the magazine was part of it. But they were registered separately. They're like, oh, but you deceived us. I'm like, you didn't read papers.
It's there.
So eventually sued us. The lawsuit went for like 3+ years. It was a long lawsuit. And in the midst of the lawsuit, my business partner and I decided to split. And they're like, oh, you're tricking us even further, you're splitting. We're like, come on guys, we're actually fighting, me and the girl, so what's the problem? So it was just the whole deep thing about getting sued, but that was fun.
I mean, this is not saying to you, maybe Mklambi, get a corporate job.
No.
Because you're still now tapping into entrepreneurship, you're not leaving the space.
No. I got sued in the space, I will conquer in the space. I don't know, but getting sued was fun. To be honest, I did not cry a day. I can't even say Yazi. It was fun, guys. Okay, it wasn't fun. Like, woo. It was like, this is a great experience. So it was like, there was a lot of learnings from that in terms of what kind of paperwork to get into, what questions, ask the right questions. And because we didn't know much, delusion, this is where the delusion is the bad thing. Because we didn't know much, we trusted them, we were quite naive in certain aspects. All we wanted was money, which is a problem. If you're so hungry for money, and someone says, I'm going to give it to you, you don't even read the terms applied to that. So if there is someone who wants to give you money, just make sure you understand the terms in which you get this money. Fine print is so important, and I think at the time we didn't think it was important because all we wanted was the money. We just needed money to print more magazines. We needed money to live life, buy new MacBooks, which we did, but it didn't work out for us eventually. And we both new MacBooks. Good times.
My goodness. But then, like a phoenix.
There's a light.
Yeah, understand.
We like
Flashes bright.
exactly.
And then what do we do next?
We split. My business partner and I split in 2018 around July, and we still had one issue to launch at that time. It was called the spiritual issue. One of my favorite ones because I did that one alone because we had split maybe like a couple of weeks before that, and we still had the launch coming out. So each launch was an actual exhibition with people, music, and all of that. It was a vibe. So that one, we also had like a partner, not a partner, but like a brand that we partnered with to launch that specific issue.
So it had to launch.
It had to launch.
Which is
not their problem. Yeah. So we had to launch it in July, but at the time I had decided to let go of the agency. So how we split is that I would take the agency, so I sold her my shares in the agency and she sold me her shares in the magazine. So we were like
50-50 split.
Gone. When you've got 100% this, I've got 100% that. But I knew that even in our agreement was that I wouldn't keep the name of the company because they both had the same name. So she would keep the company and continue on with that. I'm also considering the agency was making way more money than the magazine was. Magazine made more time and money. But I then stopped doing the magazine. That was the last issue that we had. That was July, and then I launched a new business in September of the same year. So just a couple of months later, I was like, deuces, let's do the new thing. So I didn't take a long time to be like, out here, just like, oh no, maybe not. Let's get a 9 to 5 and chill for a while. Literally from splitting and launching the last magazine to literally the next thing, which was Hadithi Africa.
And what does that entail?
A lot. So technically, all of the businesses are under one group, which is Hadithi African Media Group. Okay. So I love Africa. Everything to do with Africa, everything to do with this continent. Sign me up, put it in my veins. So Hadithi Africa. Hadithi means story or fairy tale in Swahili. And I'm a storyteller. Just
teaching my counsel. There was like there's this partnership that's already brewing and I don't
so Hadithi Africa is basically that, the stories of Africa. The one thing that I'm quite passionate about is the fact that we don't necessarily know the culture and heritage of this country, not even country but continent as a whole, and it needs to be taught but nicely so that you're enticed by it in essence. So I think the reason why not that I'm passionate about it, but the reason or how it started, I was having a conversation with my little sister who's like 13 today.
You?
Yeah, me. She was 13. I was not 13. But I think I was having a conversation with her.
Your business partner?
No. Yes, she is. My little sister was my business. Yeah, perhaps, maybe that's where it came from. But I think I was having a conversation with her regarding the heritage of South Africa, the tribes that exist within this country, very diverse. And there were certain questions I was asking she had no clue about. I'm like, why is this not taught in school? Why did we not, learn about other African countries within school? So I decided Hadithi Africa became a contemporary educative platform for the African narrative. Because even if there is someone telling the African story, it's someone who is not African most of the time. So it's like we need to tell our own stories, we need to narrate our own stories, we need to rewrite our own history. So that's what Hadithi Africa is all about, really. It's just like a contemporary educative platform that researches and tells the African narrative. Initially, when we started, it was meant to be for Africans, for us to learn our own history, our own culture and heritage. But it ended up not being that. Because our audience is mainly American and the UK, because they try to go back to the motherland,
They want to know where they come from.
Yeah, all of that. We're not interested in history and culture.
We grew up in it, we assume.
Yeah, we assume. But then our audience became an American audience, UK, everything outside of Africa. And I was like, well, okay, is this what we're doing? Okay, sure, let's go with it. And that's what it was. Initially, obviously, when you start something, you think it's something, and then it ends up being something else. I thought I was building a for-profit company, and it's not. So that's kind of where that started. But that one, in essence, it's still running. Love that child of mine, but she's running just in a different way that I had initially imagined.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that as long as she's still running.
Yeah. Branding Africa.
Oh, then that child came to life. So in the agreement,
She's got lots of lives.
hey, Lalela,
Different kids.
you fall, you come back. The thing with my business partnership splitting, there was an agreement that I wouldn't run an agency, like a non-compete such thing. I was like, yeah, sure, got you. No problem.
You guys went from not reading the fine print to being
Hey, to be
with each other, yeah.
Hey,
All of the rules and
we
regulations.
really had to. I think late we had an agreement, like a certain amount of years, that now I can, get back into the agency stuff, but I really didn't want to. Like I didn't want to run an agency. It's like agency life is really
Agency.
yeah, just like that. And then I decided I obviously had to wait it out in order for me to start the agency. So then I started the agency Branding Africa in 2022. Once dust has settled and all of that. But it's not the exact same thing, it's just different. So instead of having a design agency, it's more pivoted to strategy as opposed to kind of design. So one thing that I realized while running that agency is that a lot of people just want things to look nice, but they don't communicate anything. And obviously having a passion for Africa, I'm very passionate about African businesses thriving because I want to, we are the ones who have the African economy in our hands at this point, and I feel like entrepreneurship is the way to do that. Unemployment rise, I think entrepreneurship is the way, business is the way. And because a lot of people aren't hiring, just hire yourself. It's not that easy, but I think in essence, if we want to solve certain problems, entrepreneurship in business is the way to do it. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how to do it. And I think in Africa, we've got like 22% of the working age population are starting businesses, but a lot of those fail, and this is the highest rate in the world. But a lot of them fail for many reasons, obviously, like resources and what, but
Access.
there's a lot. But I think branding and marketing is also a big part of why certain businesses fail. They're not being able to communicate the value that they're offering their client. So that's what Branding Africa does. It just helps you as a business owner with your business, help you communicate the value that you're offering the client so you can increase your sales and make money. But we only do that for African businesses. I've had clients in the UK or in the US say, hey, sweetie, you need to get to know you've got your own people. I'm here for my people.
I'm a pounds, I'm a euro. No, you're not interested.
No. But not like, it's what in other ways.
Yeah.
But just know when it comes to offering brand consulting services, I feel like you have your own brand strategies, guys.
Yeah.
Use them. I'm here for my people. Obviously, we do assist like other people who are maybe from like Ghana, but who are living in the US. Yes, you're still qualified to be part of us. But
as long as visa, what is it saying?
That's right. Passports, it's need them.
You have back home.
Exactly. Not back home is. I'm not lying. It's not those people, but I've got a passion for Africa, so I'm gonna do that for them.
Love it. Okay, so I was gonna ask this later, but I think it works in perfectly now to ask a lot of entrepreneurs. Obviously, they don't think about the marketing. In fact, there are no funds for it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. When you're starting a small business, marketing and branding, no, man. If you can throw this picture yourself and put it on some kind of a computer structure or anything that's your logo.
Yeah,
that's it. So how do you what are some of the misconceptions about branding and marketing? And then what do you think small businesses need to understand about the importance of putting branding and marketing as part of your strategy from the jump?
Yeah. I think that the struggle obviously is like they don't have the money to do it. Or rather they think that it's an afterthought. Let me figure my business out first and then I'll figure out the branding later. But branding in essence is just being able to manage the perception that you want to communicate. And the only thing that sets your, even if you have the same product, if you're selling a bottle of water, I'm doing the same thing. But if I communicate the value, I'm like, I am quenching the thirst of the world. They'll buy my water when it's like, I know, just come on.
Do you need water or not?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a difference in terms of how you communicate that value to your consumer. And I think small businesses don't realize how much branding changes the perception about your product. Whether the product works or not, it needs to be communicated well to the people you're trying to sell to. Because the only thing that makes a business good is if it sells. Like if you're selling something that people need, then you're in business. But if you can't sell what you're selling to the consumer you want to sell to because you can't reach them, then why are we in business? Exactly. So I think there is a misconception that you don't need it. There's a misconception that no, I'll do it when I have money. But I think there are ways around getting into the branding and the marketing for your small business that don't cost 20,000 rand or that don't cost 50,000 rand and so forth, that help you as a small business owner. And I think that's where our focus is specifically with Branding Africa, because we try and have masterclasses and workshops to teach you how to DIY it properly, not to just put in a logo on paint and like, oh, blue looks nice. Look at that act. But what your logo looks like has a lot to do with how people perceive it and whether people will buy it or not. Because every single day we're selling something. When you're walking through Woolies or like a ShopRite, you're gonna look at the one that looks nice, that appeals to you before you kind of buy it. So I think the difference between branding and marketing also, which I honestly love this example, is that like marketing is like asking someone out, but branding is the reason why they say yes. Branding is like, oh, she smelled nice, she looked nice, she said the right words, whereas marketing is the actual act. And other people market without branding. It's like, but who are you talking to? How are you, are they even going to say yes? So eventually they say no because your branding is not right.
Master your cotton game.
Yeah, exactly. Is what I'm saying.
And then you win it. Then it's
basically. That's what it is.
Sure. And then when you does it also include reputational?
Oh, absolutely.
Because one thing about South African companies, they'll get themselves into hot water. Like are we also working? Does your agency also just say also your reputation?
Yeah.
What does that entail? And is it just personal brand? Is it personal branding as well, or is it just the branding of the business itself?
I mean, the two are separate, business and personal branding. And reputation does go into it. I mean, it takes years to build a good reputation and just a second to ruin it. Yeah. We know as South Africans, honestly. A lot of people, we're always just trying to fix things. No, hi, Tibang, come on, don't do that. But I think businesses need to learn to use branding to their advantage as well. I mean, just being on social media in itself as a marketing tool, if you don't look the way that you should or how you want to present yourself, then it's kind of different. It's the same with the personal brand. Though the principles of that you use to grow your personal brand and your business brand are somewhat similar, but it's different because on this side it's a person who evolves, and this side it's a business that you don't want to have an identity crisis. You don't want to look the same way one way today, and then 2 weeks later, no guys, we decided we're blue today. 2 weeks later, and branding helps you decide where to kind of go. So they are kind of different, and I think the best way, which the strategy that I've used for the past year to grow my business, is to grow my personal brand, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. If people don't trust me as a person, best believe they will not trust my business. So we've kind of stopped doing branding on ourself in terms of marketing, all of that, but focused on the people who work within the business. And when they want to work with me usually, or anyone from my team, because they've worked on their personal brand. I know you're good at this one as a person, as opposed to Branding Africa as a company. So that's just the strategy I've gone with now. It's working at the moment, but I'm not saying that's going to work forever.
Yeah.
And honestly, strategy is just as good as its implementation. So if you're going to strategize to do something, you actually have to do it.
Yeah. So now you can call yourself like a bit of like a guru.
You're gonna
web business.
Yeah,
because,
that's right.
3 down.
Come on.
If anyone can write the book already,
it's I. Maybe not.
So talk us through some of the lessons and some of the lessons, learning curves, but also some of the things that you would absolutely do again if you were to start the next 5 businesses.
Yeah.
What did you learn from? What would you never do again?
I would never go 50-50 with a partner. It doesn't work. It only works maybe at the restaurant with you and your friends. But
will they split it up good?
Yes, that's the only place where 50-50 works. It does not. You'd much rather go 51-49, but let there be someone who owns majority of the shares, because when a disagreement comes, you're going to say, no, it's blue. I'm going to say, no, it's pink. And we're both right. Because who's going to make the final decision? So I think it's very important to be very clear in roles as well if you're going to go into business partnership. I mean, I've got partnership PTSD at this point, but if I were to do it again, and I would, because it's great to have, you know, someone who you can, you know, bounce off ideas with, who has the same vision, who believes in the, you know, vision of the company as well, but never go 50-50 with that person. Go 51-49 if you have to, and always have it on paper.
And then, what would you do again?
Well, what would I do again? There's a lot that I would do again. I would invest the money again. Jokes, guys.
See? You know there are people here from everywhere on the continent, and they're not gonna give you this money.
No, guys, I won't be the same. Now we've got structures, okay? What I would do again is I would start over again if I had to. You know, if everything fell to the ground, I would start over again. And I think what I would do again is just do it with delusion, because I think a lot of people, I don't suffer that much from imposter syndrome, but like, listen, I'm quite, and I don't want to say I'm quite delusional, but like, I will tell myself that again, you know. And I think there was someone on Instagram who decided to call me the Beyonce of branding, and I'm like, yes, that's right.
Because sometimes a Kelly or a Michelle will not do.
No, because Beyonce. Exactly. So that's how I treat my work as well. It's just like perform out of the hell out of it. And I think even if you're looking at the Beyonce brand in itself, outside of everything else, you look at.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. It's just like you see she outperforms literally everyone in her game. And that's what I'm trying to do. Just trying to outperform, and not just make it in a performance, but outwork also everyone in the game as well. So Beyonce branding it is. That's right. Michelle Kelly will not do, but Septinga and the trio,
because it's part of it. What makes it work.
Because I harmony equal from alone. Thank you.
My goodness. Now I want to know. I'm a small business. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to Branding Africa, and I'm saying to you, "Hey, budget yami, we align." Talk me through everything that goes into that kind of relationship and partnership. What does it entail?
We start with an audit more than anything, because we have to figure out where you're at. Whether you're just starting or you started a year ago, we have to figure out where do you think you are as well. So we do a lot of venture discovery, customer discovery, because we want to figure out where you think you are versus where you're trying to go, and how to bridge the gap between those two kind of places. And you'd realize that the person who you're trying to be is not communicating currently with where you are. So how we work, whether a big, small, medium client, it's going to be the same thing. We really need to do an audit in terms of where you are as a founder as well versus where your business is, because sometimes you find that some clients do things because they love them, but not that they'll communicate well with their customer or potential client. So when you start a business and call it Amanda Inc., why? You know, so there's certain decisions that you need to make considering the client, not necessarily yourself. Just because you love the color green doesn't mean your logo needs to be green. Yeah, exactly. So an audit helps us figure out why you made certain decisions within your brand, within your business at the time, and where you want your business to go as well. And then we try to, smallerize that gap, summarize the gap. Also try to help you get to that bigger vision of the business that you're trying to be in. But people come to us for different reasons. Sometimes they'll come to us because they think, hey, I just need a refresh of my brand, I need a rebrand. But in essence, maybe they don't need that. So that customer discovery or like venture discovery helps us help you figure out what the problem is. So it's like brand therapy, you know, that's kind of how we start. And then from there, we'll just move on depending on what you need. Maybe what you need is just to redefine who your customer is. Maybe what you need is to really look how your customer journey is. Sometimes you'll find, like I like doing this thing, we do this thing with clients usually who have like an in-store kind of situation where they sell shoes, clothes, water, whatever they sell. And we kind of be brand FBIs, and it's my favorite thing to do, honestly. We get in there and they think that, like, listen, a lot of people are coming into the store, but they're not buying anything when they come out. So footprint wise, listen, we're
more than
killing
20
it.
people.
But from the 20, only 2 are buying, or from the 20, only 1 person is buying. So we'll get in there, just like have casual conversations with customers, like we are customers, to kind of find out, okay, why didn't you buy, etc. And sometimes the solution is just product placement. The product is not the problem, it's just how you placed it. It's behind that thing, no one wants it. Everyone's looking for it, but they can't find it, so they walk out. So we tried that, that's part of the audit process as well. Let's figure out what your problem is and we can solve it properly. You think, maybe we need to change the branding of our product. No, your branding is fine. It's just
a little bit pinker.
But
like they'd see me from the corner.
Exactly. So we're like, listen, let's make it pinker and see how it works in the next 2 weeks. And then your sales have gone up with 50%. It's like, there you go. You were pinker. So sometimes you'd find that you're going to spend less than what you wanted to because you diagnose your own problem. So when we come in, we try and audit and then diagnose your problem for you, and then we'll figure out how to take it from there.
Sounds great. I know a lot of businesses that would benefit
from
something like that.
Come on.
No, because I mean it's come up a lot in terms of the conversations that we've had. Because Makala follow us. But that's good. Just a lot of entrepreneurs, you can tell, struggled with, I started this thing, I thought it was a great idea, and some concepts have actually just gone through smithereens, right? And then the concept was great, but how you showed up in the market wasn't the way to go. Or maybe it was just ahead of your time.
Which is still fine.
But if you had a plan that said that had a 2-year plan, 3-year plan, and what we're doing and how we're upscaling, it would have made life different.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there's this saying, obviously I think we all know it, the customer is always right. But that's not the full saying. The full saying says the customer is always right pertaining to things of taste. So you'll always be right when it comes to...
that's not right.
No, only when it comes to things of taste.
Okay.
Because I'll be right because, it's too salty. But for when, this salt is so perfect. Someone else is like, there's no salt here. All of you are right because it's pertaining tastes. So I think when it comes to small businesses wanting to figure out what their customers want, they'll go into the whole customer is always right, full stop, without the whole pertaining to taste thing, and change certain things from their product and services because customer one said it had too much salt. No, obviously your product is fine, it's just that person's tastes, they'll be right for that. But there are certain times when it comes to, customer, how they, relate to your business and how they buy certain things. Like branding has a lot to do with why people buy things. And I think it's just the thing that branding doesn't get enough brand rep for that. The reason why someone will have like a whole Apple ecosystem is because of how they sold it to you. It's not because it's the best laptop on earth, and you Samsung versus iPhone, listen, we will come for you. Okay? I am part of we write a dawn for Apple. But is it the best phone? Is it the best camera? Listen, Samsung can easily. I can't they're gonna come for me for saying this. But that's the thing, the branding of it, I know I'm right. But that's the thing, it's like the branding is so like meticulous and so, speaks to the person as like you want the whole ecosystem. Not because it's the best one, not because it solves your problem, but because it's Apple at the end of the day. They have a great brand. Product-wise, who cares? It has a great brand. Samsung people, same thing. Product-wise, who cares? But brand in itself. And they talk to different people. And I think for small businesses, there's a lot to learn from bigger brands in terms of how they communicate. So you can do the same thing.
Yeah, because I think from out the gate, you know what it is. And ultimately, if your branding is good, I assume, then your customers are doing marketing for you.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, like the greatest marketing strategy till this day is still word of mouth. Whether TikTok, X, whatever comes into play, all of those things, what they've done is to amplify word of mouth. Just now I can word of mouth you on X, I can word of mouth you on TikTok, but it is still word of mouth. And the reason why the whole get ready with me, kind of content is great is because firstly it's a form of storytelling, but also a form of word of mouth. I'm telling you where I got this product, how I'm using it, and where you can get it as well. And now because you trust me as a person, and you know, I know Amanda, everything she, you know, recommends is 10 out of 10. Already I got you, but what is that? It's still word of mouth. What all of these platforms have allowed us to do is just to amplify word of mouth, but it's still, to this day, the biggest and most successful way of marketing your business. It's honestly word of mouth.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then let's talk through some of the trends that you've picked up, right? So I assume, I mean, you've seen a lot of customers already and clients. So what are some of the things that you're picking up as trends? Like they're coming to you because what?
Nextdoor is doing it. I think TikTok is a trend in itself. I think all businesses want to do what other businesses are doing, whether or not they're in the same industry or not. Because Amanda sells water and she's on TikTok drinking the water, I think I need to do the same thing because I own an accounting firm. Come on, are we the same people? We're not. So I think it's a matter of it's very tricky when it comes to trends because small businesses want to jump on each and every trend. It's very important to be aware of whatever trends are coming out at the moment, but it's very important to see, is this one for me? Is this one not for me? Is this, you know? And AI itself, I won't say AI is a trend, but it's something that everyone is jumping on. And it's not necessary for everyone. As in, you know, you can't be using ChatGPT to put together. Exactly. This is why now I'm my own lawyer because ChatGPT. It's fine, use it, but like there's just certain jobs that won't go out of practice because AI won't take everything, you know. And I think everybody's trying to DIY everything, specifically when it comes to design. That's why Canva was a huge thing as well. Everything still is, but there's a problem because certain things need to be customized. But I'm not saying don't use it. Listen, small business, make use of whatever is available in order for you to save money, because we're not trying to spend the first rule of money. Don't use your own, okay? Jokes. But it's like that's just something that came into play that people are using. Small business absolutely use it, but there are certain places where it won't work. So the get rid of me trend, that's a great one, but not everyone can use it. Not everyone should use it either. And there's just certain, especially in terms of social media, the trends that are like coming in and out. Not everyone is dancing on TikTok anymore. Now it's more like educative. Oh, listen, if you want to do this, do that. It's a day in the life of also, there was one these vlogs, spend the day with me. Not everyone's going to do that, and I think it's great to get into the influencer marketing trend, but again, it's not for everyone. And there's a lot of brands who choose the wrong influencers for their brands. It's like, why is this one talking about forex? Come on. I'm speaking about someone specific, but I won't say it. But why is she talking about forex? Because 1 + 1 is giving me 3 with this. You know, so I think it's a great trend to get into in terms of influencer marketing. Just do it properly.
Yeah. And no one will work for your specific service offering or product.
Not everyone has to do it.
Yeah. That's good. Okay.
Not cash for everyone, just some.
Yeah. So now we are in a bit of a thing. South Africa's economy is
wild.
It's gonna economy.
Yeah.
Inflation.
Oh wow, inflating.
So obviously it's going to affect the way you need to brand and market your service offering or your products, right? Because now you have to look into consumer trends. People are really not spending what they used to spend.
Yeah.
Whether 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a month ago.
Yeah.
It's no longer.
Oh.
Wow. So how do you align trends for you as somebody who's supposed to be some level of an authority in branding? What are you telling your clients, or what are you integrating into your training sessions that can factor that in?
The one thing to consider when it comes to trends and people's customer trends as well in terms of how they buy things, like there will always be someone who's buying something. Right now we're sitting here complaining about eggs. There's someone who just bought a Rolls Royce. There's someone who just bought a Birkin bag, and you think, come on, this Mr. Price, why are you know? So there'll always be someone or a group of people who will always spend on a certain thing. And your necessities are not the same as mine. Someone might say that right now could be a terrible time to open a nail bar.
Yeah.
Come on, there's always someone who's out there who's going to do
CC
her nails. And someone else might say, you know what, inflation is here, the one thing I'm going to sacrifice in my budget is my nails. That's just not going to be me.
Yeah.
Someone else, perhaps,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be me.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of being able to assess your people and how they, make certain decisions, how they make buying decisions. Are they people who are very money savvy? I need to save. This is the first thing I'm going to cut. Are they cutting you as a service as the first thing or not?
Yeah.
Because there are certain things that are necessities for others while they're not necessities for others.
What kind of medical aid before they cut a nail?
You know what I mean? Exactly. Others will cut their car insurance before they cut their hair balance. It's just that kind of thing. So it's just understanding your customer. Hence, like, customer discovery is one of the workshops that we do. Knowing who your customer is to the core in terms of what they eat for breakfast, where they shop, who they're spending time with, what are they saying to that person, is so important for you to know where your business can cut corners in terms of whatever trends are coming.
Yeah.
So if it's inflation-wise, what are they cutting? Are they cutting your services or not? If you don't know that they're doing that, then it's hard to maneuver around, okay, this is how we should market, this is not how we should market. So I think my one thing that we emphasize in all of our programs is like, know your customer like the back of your own hand, because knowing them will allow you to market it and where they're at. Because the thing is, you can't let your customer come to you. You need to go to where they're at. If ever they're spending half of their time at a gallery, guess where you need to be at that same gallery.
At a gallery.
Yeah.
Sure. The pandemic then happens.
Wow, that was a good time. Okay, not a good time, but like a good bad time. Because we didn't have to go to work, there was no one's in the street.
Can't relate. No one on the street though. No one in the street though. That was a good one. That was what traffic.
What traffic?
An amazing
outside,
time.
oh, come on.
Yeah, Mara. Then first of all, it's hard enough to convince your clients that put a little bit away for marketing and branding. Now you're telling them to put it. It's COVID.
Yeah.
I'm barely surviving.
Yeah.
How do you, again, emphasize the need, but also what is now the branding strategy in a time like a pandemic?
I think people had to pivot a lot. I had to pivot as well. We pivoted to being a fully digital agency in COVID times, and it worked so well for us because it was like, no, you don't have to meet us, we'll just meet. Like, Zoom was a thing now, whereas before it's like, no, I want to see you face to face. I need FaceTime with you type of thing. But I think it allowed for a lot of times, a lot of customers and brands and businesses to look at digital solutions. It's like, maybe we don't need a store. Maybe let's just sell things online. So I think it allowed for people to shift vigorously to doing things digitally and doing things online, as opposed to having to do things on a physical kind of scale. So I think pandemic-wise, for me as well, that was the best year for my business, to be honest, because it was like, wow, everybody needs marketing now. And I think because everyone is indoors and they're not outside, they can't see the billboard, they can't see the pamphlet, they can't see that. The only thing they see is their phone and their TV. So now everyone needs to shift their budgets to TV, phone, online, everything that I can have access to right now. And I think what COVID did is that it allowed people to kind of see the importance of immediate things. We didn't know 5 years ago that we needed our groceries delivered to our door. Until Chipper 60 said, what? You're going to the grocery store? Don't do that. Why would you do that? We didn't know we needed that 5 years ago, or even longer than that. But now you can't live without it. So without the pandemic, it wouldn't have fast-tracked the innovation of immediate solution, immediate this, immediate. I mean, it's a good and bad thing because now people aren't as patient when it comes to certain services, but it was a good thing for businesses to realize that you have to move where the world is moving, and at this point, it's digital.
So if you don't catch the wave,
you're behind.
the business will not. You see. Yes, COVID. See, I like that we can unpack a lot of things and we can talk about how devastating the COVID was, but we don't talk about the opportunities that it brought, right? And the opening up of because I think we are an emerging economy. And people assume, or we assumed that we needed a little bit more time The first world will do e-commerce and what first, and there'll be internet inclined, and we will follow. But then COVID taught us that we are one economy. In fact, if anything, we can reach each other quicker and faster.
Yeah, that's what it did. I think COVID was a good example, and I think there's this quote, I don't know who says it, that said, don't let a good pandemic go to waste. Not that it was a good pandemic, but don't let a pandemic... don't let a pandemic go to waste, because there's a lot of opportunity that comes from it. People sold hand sanitizers like water, and they were selling out. Like things that would have never sold out before were selling out now. And if at that time, literally, I don't know, everyone was selling either mask, glove, hand sanitizer, everyone was selling something. And we all needed.
Suddenly people had machines to actually sew these masks.
Exactly. Suddenly. And now it's like, where were these people before? And that was, they didn't let a pandemic go to waste. And even outside of that, I think even in your own industry, it's like, just realize or try and figure out where you need to plug into that the pandemic is kind of pushing you to go within your service. Obviously, there's a lot of businesses that fell, a lot of businesses that didn't survive, restaurants, things that, you know, depend on people walking into a certain place. But there's just a wave of innovation that had to happen during that time of COVID, because you wouldn't have survived without it.
Yeah. All right, before we get to the tail end of this chat, if you would give, so I need you to give me 3 take-homes or lessons that you would provide. I'm not saying that you're the expert, but the children, they need the knowledge. They are either already operational, or they are wanting to start a business, but they're stuck in a corporate structure, and you left a corporate structure and you started many things. 3 lessons. If you have more, go ahead. Just
if I have one, jokes.
I want to minimum. Thank you.
Wow. I think number 1, you need to make sure your product or your service or your solution is valid. Validated by the fact that it has a customer and it will sell, and you're the right person to sell it. So just ask yourself these maybe 2 little questions. Do you have a valid product or service? Can you produce it? Are you the right person to produce that said product or service? And do you have someone to sell it to? And if you do have someone to sell it to, who are they buying it from currently? Because in essence, when you start a business, the first thing you want to do is steal someone's company or steal someone's customer. If I decide I want to sell earrings to Amanda, Amanda's buying them somewhere currently. So I need to find out, why is my product or service better than wherever you're buying it from right now? Because I want to convert you from wherever you are currently to being my customer. But also, why am I the right person to sell it to you? So that answers the question of, are you doing this for a purpose or just necessity? And I think the second thing in essence that I would kind of advise really is to do things out of purpose and not necessarily necessity. Necessity says I need to put bread on the table, so I'm going to start a business. I'm not saying don't put bread on the table, but those businesses don't necessarily last longer than the first generation, which is you, because you were solving a problem for yourself, and you were starting a business for your stomach, and not necessarily, it didn't necessarily have a purpose bigger than you. And I think businesses that have a purpose bigger than you usually last, beyond the first generation, which would be me. So if you are going to start a business, don't just do it for, I have a problem today and it's to solve it today. But honestly, sometimes you need to have a bigger purpose, because then you won't necessarily give up. Because if I didn't have a bigger purpose, when first business went down the drain, I was like, okay, deuces guys, we tried, let's just go try something else now. So because there is a bigger purpose and a bigger problem that I'm trying to solve and a bigger message that I want to have as a person, it allows me to have more resilience. And I think the third thing, which I think at 2.1 thing would be just remember why you started, or just have a why in terms of why you are starting, just for the sake of it. That's why I don't like being called CEO founder, because everyone is CEO founder. That time we executively won at a flame, like you're having board meetings with you, yourself and I, And I think it's just a big wave of entrepreneurship, but they just need to realize that not everyone is an entrepreneur, and that's fine.
I was gonna ask you that question next. Is everyone?
No,
Really?
Abanye, they are self-employed. I think the third thing is like place yourself within the self-employed business owner and entrepreneur brackets.
Yeah.
They're not the same thing. Self-employed, I employ myself. I'm the employer. I'm the employee. You know, you're
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
What you do is you.
Yeah.
Business owner, you own a business that has a system. A business is an institute, or rather a thing that has systems. Okay, there's when the product or when the sale comes, there's a system of how we go from the money came into the customer has their product, or how the product is made. There is a system to that, and that system can be replicated and scaled. That's business ownership, right?
Yeah.
That's just one. Entrepreneur is someone who can start an idea, have an idea, start it, make things happen within that, bring together the right team, have it work, and be able to leave it and go start another thing. It's working on its own. Maybe you're still board member, you're still CEO, whatever, but then you're able to move to another thing. There are self-employed people who think they are entrepreneurs, but they're miles apart. Because, have you started something and left it and still running? No. You're solving this. I paid rent today, thank God. You know, and there's no problem with any of these kind of sections of being an entrepreneur, business owner, or self-employed. There's nothing wrong with it. Just place yourself where you need to be. And because if you're a self-employed person who thinks they're an entrepreneur, you put too much pressure on yourself. And I think the last thing would be just don't be intimidated by your vision, because it is so big. And sometimes you can be intimidated by, how am I gonna get there?
Yeah.
I'm trying to have 55 stores in South Africa. You're feeling and you become intimidated by that, and you just don't do it. So, but that one entrepreneur, place yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not an entrepreneur, you're just self-employed. Sometimes you're just a business owner. If that's where you want to end,
That's also
Alright.
perfectly fine.
it's perfectly fine. Don't let this Timberlake put pressure on you because you want to be like him. Don't do that. When I asked you, you're self-employed and you're entrepreneur.
I mean, we're gonna keep that in because people must know.
No, but he's great, and
Yeah.
he's in his own lane.
It works for what he's doing.
Yes.
His branding and marketing
Yes.
are aligned to his vision.
Exactly.
But it's not
when I
his.
don't do that because you're not there. If you're trying to go there, I'm stuck at the time. Getting the elephant one bite. Come on, biggie nightmare.
100%. See, these are the nuggets. Nice. Marawena. Okay.
And you.
You've already done a magazine. I just feel like
I was not writing it. I was editor in chief.
outlook. What's going on? What are the plans for the future? Are we going international? Are we listing? Since that.
Yes, Lista. Yo. I just watched We Crashed. I don't want to crash. We're not listening currently. The plan is just to go into Africa. Currently, we're like getting into East Africa, which I'm absolutely loving. But like we offer our programs, and we're kind of, making sure that it fits to other regions in Africa, because we're not one country and we don't have the same buying decisions. We don't buy for the same reasons. So we're just trying to maneuver our way around Africa's continent. We're just trying to be branding Africa as it is. We are branding Africa at this point, so we can't just brand South Africa. We need to kind of...
Because the continent, she's big.
Exactly, she's big. She has many countries. She's got about 54, 55 at the moment. So it's we have to take over the continent one country at a time, one region at a time, and one community at a time as well. So that's where we're trying to go outlook-wise. We're trying to help as many entrepreneurs as possible build good, lasting brands and good businesses as well. I think it's honestly the solution to our problems at the moment, but just encouraging the upliftment of the African economy will encourage the African economy and community itself. So I think it's just high time we